take all the kids back to school and then come back, so this is when he usually arrives. Mike has coached high school swimming and club swimming for a long time. Yeah, a couple years. He's been the high school coach of the year, state coach of the year numerous times. He's won the state title a few times. We've got good coaches here, except me. So, oh, and Safe Sport. I think I'm supposed to plug this whenever I talk to people. Safe Sport is training that we go through as coaches to keep your children safe. And some of the things that we want to keep our eyes out for peculiar activity between swimmers and coaches and parents and swimmers, other parents and swimmers. So if you ever see anything weird, anyone's treating somebody poorly in any way, there's any bullying going on, we need to know about that so we can take care of it. We don't tolerate a lot of that around here. And that's important. There's a couple of other things, pieces of that. One that almost all of you have probably had me come up and say, sorry, you can't take pictures during practice. That is in order to keep your kids off of internet sites. We're in a sport where we're dealing with a lot of kids in swimsuits, and if you take pictures of your kids, I know how it's cool to come to the outdoor pool and take pictures of you're swimming in the winter, take pictures. If you're taking a picture of your own child around the deck, I am not going to stop that because I get it. If you're taking a picture of the workout as a group, that can't be done. And I won't break your camera or anything. I'll come over, I'll be nice about it and ask you not to do that. But now you know I won't have to do that. Usually it's grandparents coming in and saying, oh, harmless, I know, but somewhere along the way it's not been harmless. Okay, so this is the important stuff. That all good and said. We are going to talk about goal setting today. I sent out an email that included this. I'm not going to read it to you, but I will touch on some of the highlights. Goal setting is important in swimming as it is in life. If you want to get somewhere, you have to make a plan of how to get there. Is my dog here? So goals help give you pinpoints along the way of your roadmap. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to try to have everybody really be aware of their times in practice and in meets. You kind of need to know what you're doing every day in order to be able to get where you want to go. And so I said everybody should put down some goals. I have a questionnaire that asks you for goals. The goals should be your goals. And if your goal is, I don't want to go to workout on Wednesdays because Coach beats me, that's fine, that's a good goal, I guess. We might want to work on some better goals. But we want to understand why we're swimming, and we want to understand where we're trying to get to. And that helps your coaches coach better, and it helps the swimmers have a focus on what they're doing. And so it's just really important. So on this, I talk about some different things. USA Swimming has made it very easy to set goals. They have motivational times that go from B to quad A that you could just kind of go through those as you work your way up. There's also time standards that you may want to make. You may want to make PNS this year, or you may want to make regionals or spring showdown, or I want to make gold times so I can go to the age group invitational. All of those are great goals. The reasons you swim can be many. That might be one of the more entertaining answers I get to look at when I send these out to people. A lot of times, I think I've already heard some goals are like, I don't want my little sister to beat me. I want to beat my big brother. Is that true? So they're fun. We'll have fun with it. Sometimes you meet the goals all the way along. Sometimes you don't, and it's okay. As we progress through the season, each monthly meet we'll be trying to do the best you can do that day. A lot of times though, we've done a really hard workout the day before or something like that. And so we're swimming tired on those meets and we're not expecting a lifetime best a lot of times. At the younger ages, they happen anyway. So it's kind of cool. But as you get older, you're going to start noticing that maybe I do a best time in December and then maybe again in March. But all those meets in between, I'm learning something about the race. I'm learning that how I need to pace it better, or what I need to eat the night before, or maybe I need to sleep better the night before. So Seamus is patting out. Get out of here, Seamus. So that leads me into the things that influence your goals. If you have a goal of being a regional swimmer this year, you probably better read this part and focus on doing those things. Attendance. I don't know how many times a swimmer has come to a meet and not done a best time, and then they ask me why they didn't do a best time, and I go through the attendance, and there's very few check marks in their box, or they're scattered randomly throughout. That will kill a swimming career. When I was in college swimming, missing Sunday made me feel like I was starting over sometimes. So when you miss a lot of days in a row, you take a little step backwards sometimes, and that happens to all of us. We have vacations, we get sick, things come up that we can't control. But when you can control it, we want to try to be at workouts. Don't skip because you have a hangnail, Tyler. Right? You would know. So attendance. Oh, I was going to talk about each group. So the attendance we recommend for the groups, and these are basically based on kind of the age of the group. So age group 3, we recommend 3 practices a week. That does not mean that you can't go to 5 or 6. It doesn't mean you can't go to 2 or 1. It means that if you want to reach your goals and have success, the success that you want to have, 3 is probably the minimum that you should be at to get there. At age group 2, we want 4 a week, and really 5 is better, especially since we have Saturday practices. Age group 1, we're pretty much expecting you to be there all the time, and there's people have basketball games, there's soccer games, or school conferences, or whatever. They keep them out now and then, but basically you should try and be there most days as an age group 1 swimmer. High school development is a little different. You kind of get to run a little on your own, because you're training for a slightly different purpose. It's a shorter time usually because you're training right before your high school season to get in shape, and then maybe you come back afterwards, but then you miss some time in the middle. So that's a little bit of its own thing. If you go on vacation, talk to your coach about getting some workouts to do. There's always pools that you can go swim at the hotel or somewhere else. But even more fun than that is find another team. I knew I would bore Liam. Bye, Liam. Bye. There's other teams around that you can go swim with. My kids used to go when they went to Hawaii. They'd find the team in Hawaii that was nearby. They'd take a few swim caps with them. They'd go swim workouts with them. We have kids from across the country that come and swim with us now and then. It's a really fun way to meet some new people that have the same interests you do, and not have to miss workout. Right? That's the best part. The next thing, effort level. In age group 3, we are learning we're doing a lot of stroke work. The effort level doesn't have to be quite as high there. I noticed that when they get to age group 2, that's where they're learning what soreness is like and what being really tired is like. They get tired over here in age group 3. Trust me, I've seen what Shay's doing to them. But in age group 2, we have a 4,000-yard day every now and then, and they're going to be wiped out. And we need to make sure that they understand that it's okay to be tired. It's okay to be sore. We don't want injuries, but soreness, muscle soreness, is what makes us get stronger eventually. So that is something that is probably the hardest thing for the coaches to teach or at least for me to teach. If any of you other coaches can help me with that, I'd love it. But sometimes people swim very comfortably. I think I talked to a couple of kids recently about this, where they swim at the pace they're comfortable with, rather than pushing themselves to swim beyond that pace. So we're trying to teach that, and as parents, you can help that out. That would be fantastic. Nutrition. I'm not going to tell anybody how to eat. You can do different things. I'm not a big fan of a lot of different diets for kids, especially. They're going to get a lot of nutrition. The only thing I recommend is try and limit fast food and processed foods and sugars. And I will always say that. I think that's a fairly safe thing to say nutrition-wise. You can be a vegetarian and be fine. You can eat lots of stuff as a kid that's working out and get away with it a lot more than we can as adults. But you can't be constantly eating garbage food. And I think, I'm not looking directly, and I give out jelly beans. I'm not the guy who won't let anybody have any sugar. I give out jelly beans to the kids now and then. If that's a problem for anybody, make sure you let me know. I won't give your kids jelly beans, but they might complain about that. Sleep. This is the last thing, and then I'll be ready for questions. Sleep is the most underrated thing that kids are missing out on nowadays, in my opinion. So I don't like to put my opinions out there a lot of times on this sort of thing, but our kids get so much stuff, so much homework to do, and so many things. They end up staying up late and not getting a lot of sleep. I've read studies. I wish I had this study, but there was a study done a couple of years back where they took athletes, I believe it was at Stanford, and they had part of them get 8 hours or more, part of them get less than 8 hours. The people that were getting 8 hours or more had 11%. They performed better in athletics and in the classroom by a considerable margin. The kids that weren't getting as much sleep, their brains weren't able to process the information. I don't know why, but it's very important, especially when you're working really hard and trying to do 15 different sports and all the things we do. So sleep, sleep, sleep. Get 8 hours of sleep, and no sleeping while you're practicing. On the so, in talking about goals and what affects our goals, I think everybody knows I put together a sheet. It has some questions on the front. On the back side, in case you missed that part, it has a list of every event that's pretty much possible for your age. I have 8 and under and 9 and over. 8 and unders include 25s and don't do 200s in the mile and the 400 IM. And then 9 and overs start at 50s and go up to the mile and the 400 IM. If you don't plan on swimming the mile very soon, that's okay. You don't have to have a goal for that necessarily. Maybe the goal is just to swim it someday and get through it. That was kind of my goal. I swam the mile maybe twice and the 200 fly once. So I totally understand not swimming certain events because that's just not your event. But I would like you to children to fill out those with your best times in everything that you have best times in. And those are found on the website. You can look on the Cascade website under My Meet Results if you swum before. If you haven't swum before, you don't have a time. You're going to have to go to a meet and get some times. And so therefore your goal might be just making a B time from the time standard sheets I gave you. Those time standard sheets and motivational times, they're on the email. I printed a few out. I think I kept them over here because I didn't want to. I went through like a ream of paper print and stuff. I didn't want to go through another 15 pages of time standards, especially when half of them are still from last year. I will update those as soon as I have the new ones and get them out to everybody. I think that's it. One of the things, no, I pointed that out. Questions. I will try and field some questions, and then I will let your other coaches come up and field any questions too, or we can all come up together, however you would like. Are there some questions? Yes. Yes, we are, like I said, we follow that schedule for that exact reason on the days. That's not to say that you might not show up and I might have decided we did a bad job of sprint day and we're redoing it on Thursday. That's our coach's prerogative. That will happen sometimes, but for the most part, yes, we all follow that schedule of the days. That's a great question. Any others? I'm here all night, really. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention that. There's a January challenge that's the first weekend or second weekend in January. I believe we just sanctioned that. Do you know anything about that, Drew? I believe we're in the process of sanctioning that meet and running it ourselves. It wasn't on our schedule yet, so I didn't put it on there. And some of the locations are up for question still. I was told Rogers might not be right for the November age group invitational, but I have not confirmed that. And the Snohomish Winter Challenge, I'm not positive about either. That's where we went last year. Sometimes they move us around. Anything else? Great. I'm gonna let's have, if you have specific questions for group 3, why don't you kind of make your way down here to Shay, and she will answer any questions. If you have specific questions for me that aren't for the whole group, you can come talk to me. If you have questions for Mike, he just wants to get you in the pool, you guys, so don't bother Mike.